A federal court just made a major ruling that changed gun laws across America.
Law focused on firearms storage is going into effect in the new year.
Gun ownership is on the rise in the United States.
And most gun owners still don't know it happened. As of January, 10 powerful legal changes are now in effect. These are real protections, already reshaping your rights like never before. Law number 10 is the biggest shock. People were facing felony charges for it just weeks ago. Now it's fully legal. If you own or carry a firearm, this is something you need to know. One mistake could land you in legal trouble even if you think you're following the rules. Let's break it all down. Subscribe now so you don't miss a thing.
Disclaimer.
I'm not a lawyer, and this isn't legal advice. Gun laws are changing fast and they're different everywhere. Always check with a legal professional and your local laws before making any decisions. Law 1. The highest court just raised the bar. For the first time in over half a century, the Supreme Court has set a new gold standard for protecting your right to bear arms. And this ruling is the foundation for every change that followed. The court made it clear, gun rights now receive the same high-level protection as freedom of speech and religion. That means your Second Amendment rights can't be pushed aside with vague claims or reasonable restrictions anymore. Before this, it was easy for lawmakers to pass gun control. Judges would often let it slide as long as it sounded fair. But from now on, the burden flips. It's the government that must prove, with hard evidence, why any gun restriction is absolutely necessary. And not just any reason will work. They can't rely on broad arguments like public safety or crime prevention. They must show a compelling need and prove they're using the least restrictive method possible. Legal experts now believe hundreds of current gun laws could be struck down under this tougher test. Law 2. Real consequences for cops who cross the line. For years, police officers who violated your gun rights could walk away without facing any real punishment. That's because of something called qualified immunity, a legal shield that protected them even when they clearly overstepped the law. But that's not the case anymore. Thanks to a powerful new court ruling, officers who violate your Second Amendment rights can now be held personally responsible, and it's hitting them where it hurts. If a cop wrongfully arrests you for illegally carrying, seizes your firearm without proper cause, or interferes with your gun rights in any way, they could be sued directly. That means paying damages out of their own pocket, facing criminal charges, and losing their badge permanently, with no chance of getting hired in law enforcement again. This isn't just theory. In Arizona, 2 officers were forced to cough up nearly $2 million after wrongfully detaining a woman with a valid carry permit. In Georgia, another officer lost his pension and was hit with federal charges after illegally taking guns during a basic traffic stop. Police departments across the country are now sending the same warning to their officers. Violate someone's gun rights, and you're risking your career, your finances, and your freedom. The era of automatic immunity is over. Accountability is here. Law 3. No more gun grabs without due process. This is one of the biggest victories yet. From now on, government officials can't just show up and take your firearms unless they go through the full criminal justice process. The red flag laws that once allowed police to seize your guns based on a simple complaint have been struck down as unconstitutional. Here's how that used to ruin lives. Say a neighbor was angry with you over a property issue or an ex wanted revenge. All they had to do was tell the police they were worried about your behavior. That same day, officers could show up, take every gun you legally owned, and leave you fighting in court for a year just to get them back. That ends here. Under the new court ruling, officers cannot touch your firearms unless they arrest you. They cannot keep them unless a prosecutor files real charges against you. And they absolutely cannot keep your property without giving you a fair trial. Law enforcement agencies had made a habit of claiming a gun might be tied to a crime, even when the owner was never charged with anything. Over the past 4 years, more than 15,000 legally owned firearms were taken this way. Most of those owners gave up because the legal fight was too long and too expensive. But now, if your firearms were taken under a red flag order or civil asset forfeiture in the last 5 years, you have the right to file paperwork and demand them back, and the government must return them. This isn't a small change. It's a full stop to a practice that never should have happened in the first place. Law 4. Gun owner database must be wiped clean. In one of the strongest privacy wins gun owners have seen in decades, the federal government has just been ordered to delete every digital record they've been keeping on firearm owners, and they have exactly 90 days to do it. Even though U.S. law clearly says the government cannot create a national gun owner registry, the ATF was secretly doing it anyway. Over time, they collected more than 1 billion records from firearm purchases and loaded them into a searchable computer system. All it took was a name, an address, or a gun model, and they could pull up your information in seconds. What's worse, states like Washington, Michigan, Delaware, and Rhode Island were quietly handing over gun owner data through backdoor agreements the public never even knew about. That all stops now. The court has ordered the ATF to provide certified proof that every single one of those digital records has been completely and permanently deleted from all their systems. And if they miss the deadline or refuse to follow through, employees responsible could face criminal charges and possible jail time. The FBI was also told to stop keeping background check records after someone is approved. From now on, those records must be erased immediately instead of stored for years. This ruling isn't just about data, it's about your freedom. And it's about time the system was forced to play by the same rules they expect you to follow. Law 5. No more secret surveillance on gun owners. The government can no longer track you just because you own a firearm. From now on, agencies must get a judge's warrant before digging into your digital life. For years, federal agencies were spying on legal gun owners without any court approval. They used cell phone data to see which gun stores you visited. They tracked your online orders for ammo and parts by pulling credit card records. They even monitored what you searched online, all without a single shred of evidence that you did anything wrong. Behind the scenes, intelligence agencies were running a secret program that flagged people just for researching topics like bulk ammo, firearm accessories, or concealed carry laws. That program has now been shut down for good. The court made one thing crystal clear: owning a gun is a constitutional right, and that right alone is not a reason for the government to spy on you. Your phone's location history, your online purchases, and even your search history related to firearms are now legally off limits. If a government agency wants access, they must get a signed warrant from a judge and prove there's a real crime involved, not just suspicion based on the fact that you're a gun owner. Over 60,000 Americans were secretly monitored through these systems without knowing it. Many are now suing, and early settlement offers are averaging $50,000 per person. The days of silent surveillance on law-abiding gun owners are officially over. Law 6. Big changes to concealed carry permits. Getting your concealed carry permit just became faster, simpler, and more affordable, no matter what state you live in. The court handed down 3 powerful new rules that now apply in all 50 states. First, your permit must be fully processed within 30 days. No more endless waiting. No more excuses or delays. Second, states can no longer force you to prove you have a special reason for carrying. Your right to self-defense is reason enough. And third, the total fee for applying cannot go over $50. That means no hidden charges, no padded costs, and no more paying hundreds just to exercise your rights. Before this ruling, states like Massachusetts were dragging their feet for 10 to 18 months just to approve one permit. In Illinois, fees were climbing above $400 just to apply. Right now in Massachusetts, over 55,000 applications have been sitting in limbo past the 30-day deadline. Under this new law, every one of those permits is considered automatically approved, effective immediately. In Rhode Island, only 300 permits had ever been approved before this, but in just the last 5 weeks, they've already been forced to approve over 4,000. If your permit application has been sitting for more than 30 days, the clock has run out. The law now says you're approved, right now. But getting the permit is only half the fight, because carrying means nothing if you can't buy the ammunition you need, and that's exactly what Law 7 takes care of. Law 7. Ammunition rules just got wiped clean. Buying ammo now works just like buying anything else on the shelf. No more hoops, no more red tape, and no more special restrictions just because it's ammunition. Until now, some states were making it nearly impossible. In Illinois, you had to pass a full background check every single time you bought a box of bullets. In Massachusetts, online ammo orders and home deliveries were completely banned, forcing gun owners to drive hours just to find a store that stocked what they needed. Some states even kept lists of anyone who bought too much ammo in one go and flagged them for surveillance. But under the new ruling, all of that is gone. The court made it simple. A firearm is useless without ammo, and treating ammunition like a dangerous substance makes no legal or logical sense. So all these extra restrictions had to go. Stores can now sell ammunition over the counter without filling out government forms. Online retailers can ship across state lines without needing special licenses or approval. And nobody can tell you how much ammo you're allowed to buy at once. The effects were immediate. Just last year, Illinois alone ran more than 5 million background checks for ammo purchases, wasting time, money, and patience. Now those checks are gone, and gun owners are finally seeing relief. Online ammo sellers have seen sales jump by over 400% in states where shipments were previously blocked. The market opened up overnight, and for once, the law got out of the way. Law 8. Real protection for licensed gun dealers. If you run a legal firearms business, you finally get the same rights and protections as any other small business in America. For years, the ATF was cracking down on gun shops over the smallest technical mistakes. Not criminal activity, just typos. A smudged serial number, a date written in the wrong format, or a misspelled middle name could be all it took to lose your federal license and watch your business go up in smoke. But those days are over. Under the new rules, the ATF cannot revoke a federal firearms license unless a dealer actually breaks the law. That means no more shutdowns over paperwork errors, no more threats over clerical mistakes, and no more fear of losing everything because of a misplaced form. And there's more. When you apply for a new FFL, the ATF now has exactly 60 days to process it. If they don't, your application is automatically approved. This ruling also ends harassment at the local level. City and county officials can no longer block you from operating your firearms business out of your home just because they don't like what you're selling. Zoning laws that were used to shut down legal dealers are now powerless to stop you. In the last year alone, 148 dealers had their licenses pulled for non-criminal paperwork issues. Since this court decision, applications for new FFLs have surged by 97% because people finally feel safe to step into the business without the fear of unfair government action. This law just leveled the playing field for legal gun sellers. And it's about time. Law 9. No warrant, no entry, period. Federal agents can no longer barge into your home or onto your property to inspect your firearms without a signed warrant. Those surprise visits that gun collectors and small firearms business owners had to deal with, they're now officially illegal. For years, ATF agents would show up unannounced, demanding to inspect your gun collection or business paperwork right there on the spot. If you said no, they'd threaten to yank your license or launch an investigation, even if you hadn't broken a single law. But this new ruling puts a stop to all of that. The court made it clear, the Fourth Amendment still applies to gun owners. Just because you legally own firearms doesn't mean you lose your right to privacy. From now on, if the government wants to search your home, your shop, or your collection, they need a judge's signature. That warrant must name specific criminal accusations, not just vague suspicions or random inspections. These protections now apply to everyone. Whether you're a hobbyist, a licensed dealer, a range owner, or someone who runs a gun business from home, the law protects you equally. Over the past 4 years, more than 3,000 homes were searched by ATF agents without proper court approval. Now, many of those homeowners are suing, and average settlements are coming in at around $85,000 per case. If agents show up at your door with no explanation, remember this one line: you need to show me a warrant with specific criminal accusations or you're not coming in. Law 10. You're now protected when traveling with your firearm. If you've ever felt nervous driving through certain states with your firearm locked away in the trunk, you're not alone. For years, law-abiding gun owners were getting arrested just for crossing state lines, even when their guns were stored legally and never touched. But that fear ends now. A new federal protection is in place. As long as your firearm is legal in both the state where your trip begins and the state where it ends, you are fully protected during your entire journey. Even when passing through states with strict gun laws, you can stop for gas, grab a bite to eat, or spend the night at a hotel, and you're still covered. No more tiptoeing around unclear state rules. No more worrying about getting pulled over in the wrong place at the wrong time. This change affects millions of Americans. People who travel for work, visit family, or just take road trips no longer have to fear being charged with a felony for carrying a legally owned firearm in a locked case. In Maryland alone, over 1,000 gun owners were arrested in the past 6 years simply for traveling through the state with firearms. Even though they were just passing through, every one of those cases is now being thrown out and wiped from criminal records. In one case, a man in Connecticut was pulled over for a broken taillight. Police found his legally owned pistol locked in the trunk inside a secure case. He was charged with a crime and spent nearly 3 years battling in court. Legal fees alone cost him over $50,000 before the charges were finally dropped. To avoid becoming the next headline, remember this one sentence if you're ever stopped while traveling. I am traveling under federal interstate protection laws. Say it clearly, say it confidently. The law is now on your side. Your Second Amendment rights just became stronger. But rights mean nothing if you don't know how to use them. Knowledge is your best protection. The more you understand the law, the harder it is for anyone to take advantage of you. So hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss a critical update that could impact your freedom. And don't keep this to yourself. Share it with your family, your friends, and every gun owner you know. Because the rules have changed, and every American who values their rights deserves to know the truth.